Maplewood, Ohio, wore fall like it had been tailor-made for it. The maples lining Main Street were dressed in flaming reds and pumpkin oranges, leaves skittering across sidewalks in dry little whirlwinds every time a pickup truck rolled by. The air carried that crisp bite that made people dig their hands into hoodie pockets and pretend they weren't cold yet. It was the kind of morning where the town looked like a postcard and everyone felt just a little more alive for no good reason at all. Daniel Carter, 36, high school history teacher and proud owner of exactly 3 flannel shirts, stepped out of his pale blue bungalow on Oak Drive with a travel mug of coffee in one hand and his phone in the other. His house was the classic Midwestern starter home. White siding, a porch swing his dad had installed years ago, and a lawn that Daniel kept promising he'd mow before the leaves swallowed it whole. He wore jeans, worn brown boots, and a gray hoodie that still smelled faintly of last night's bonfire with neighbors. Daniel was running late, not dramatically late, just enough to feel the universe judging him. He jogged to his aging Toyota Corolla, tossed his backpack in the back seat, and slid behind the wheel, already rehearsing the excuse he'd give his first period class. In the rush, his wallet, brown leather, cracked at the edges, stuffed with loyalty cards and a photo of his late mom, slipped from his hoodie pocket and landed silently in a pile of leaves near the driveway. And just like that, without fanfare, Daniel Carter's wallet began its own adventure. Daniel drove off, humming along to a classic rock station, blissfully unaware that his driver's license, debit card, $27 in cash, and entire adult identity were now sitting on Oak Drive, waiting for destiny. The day rolled on like any other in Maplewood. At Maplewood High, Daniel cracked jokes about the Revolutionary War, pretended not to notice when students tried to nap, and spilled coffee on his own desk in a moment of slapstick glory that earned him a round of applause. By lunchtime, he finally reached for his wallet to buy a turkey sandwich in the cafeteria. It wasn't there. He checked his hoodie pocket, then his jeans, then his backpack, then his car keys, like somehow they'd explain everything. His face went pale in that very specific way people do when their brain starts calculating all the annoying phone calls they're about to make. Nope, 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 he muttered, patting himself down again as if the wallet might magically appear if properly encouraged. He retraced his steps, speed walking through hallways, asking the front office, checking the teacher's lounge. Nothing. By the time his last class ended, Daniel looked like a man who had just lost a small but emotionally significant limb. Outside, the afternoon sun cast long golden shadows across the football field. Maplewood bustled in that cozy after-school way, kids piling into cars, parents waiting, teachers chatting near the entrance. Daniel sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel, laughing to himself in disbelief. Of all the days, he said aloud, because talking to yourself felt socially acceptable once you'd lost your wallet. He drove home slowly, scanning sidewalks like a detective in a low-budget crime show. When he reached Oak Drive, hope flickered, but the pile of leaves near his driveway had been kicked around by passing kids. No wallet. Daniel sighed, leaned against his porch railing, and looked down the street. Mrs. Helen Whitaker, the retired librarian in her 70s, was walking her tiny dog, Peanut, bundled in a ridiculous sweater. Across the road, Marcus Reed, a muscular 22-year-old mechanic, was washing his truck with music blasting. 2 kids on bikes zoomed past, laughing. Life went on, apparently unconcerned with Daniel's personal crisis. He went inside, sat at his small kitchen table, and stared at the wood grain like it might offer wisdom. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hi, is this Daniel Carter? I think I found something that belongs to you. Daniel's heart did a somersault. He typed back with trembling thumbs. Yes, that's me. What did you find? Your wallet. This is Emily Rodriguez. I live a few streets over. My little brother picked it up near Oak Drive. Daniel exhaled so hard he laughed. Oh my God, thank you. That's incredible. Can I come get it? No need. We're actually heading to the fall festival downtown. We can meet you there, or I can drop it off later. Daniel grinned. Maplewood's annual Fall Harvest Festival was happening that evening in the town square. Food trucks, live music, pumpkin carving, the whole small town charm package. I'll meet you there, he replied. I can't thank you enough. As the sun dipped lower, Maplewood transformed. Strings of lights lit up Main Street. Booths popped up with homemade pies, caramel apples, and chili. Families bundled in scarves and knit hats wandered around. The smell of fried dough mixed with wood smoke filled the air. Daniel arrived, still half in disbelief, weaving through the crowd. Near the fountain, he spotted Emily Rodriguez, mid-20s, wearing a denim jacket and a warm smile. standing with a boy about 10 and an older man who turned out to be her dad, Carlos. When Emily held up the familiar brown wallet, Daniel laughed out loud. "That's it. That's my whole life right there," he said, walking over. She handed it to him. Everything was intact, even the $27. "I can't believe this," Daniel said. "Seriously, thank you. I don't even know how to repay you." Emily shrugged. "That's just how it works around here." But word spread fast. Marcus Reed wandered over, laughing. "Yo, I heard someone lost a wallet and the whole town turned into detectives." Mrs. Whitaker showed up too, Peanut barking like he'd personally solved the case. Soon, others joined, neighbors, parents, kids, each one sharing how they'd heard about the lost wallet through texts, group chats, and plain old shouting across fences. Daniel stood there, surrounded by people he mostly knew only in passing, holding his wallet like it was a trophy. A goofy smile stuck on his face. In that moment, he realized something. He hadn't just lost a wallet. He'd accidentally tested the heart of his town, and Maplewood had passed with flying colors. If Scene 1 was about losing something, Scene 2 was about realizing what had been found. The night at the Fall Harvest Festival deepened into something soft and magical. The sky above Maplewood turned dark blue, stars peeking through, while strings of lights crisscrossed Main Street like glowing spiderwebs. A local band played classic country covers from a small wooden stage, and the sound of laughter mixed with music and the sizzle of food trucks. Daniel found himself sitting at a picnic table with Emily Rodriguez, Marcus Reed, Mrs. Whitaker, and a rotating cast of townspeople who kept stopping by to say hello, as if he was suddenly the guest of honor at a party he hadn't known he was throwing. Emily's little brother, Mateo, proudly explained how he'd spotted the wallet while riding his scooter. "I thought it was treasure," he said. But Emily said it was better, it was someone's stuff. "That's the most grown-up thing I've heard all day," Daniel said, offering Mateo a high five. Mrs. Whitaker sipped her hot cider and smiled. "In my day, you returned things because that's just what you did. Nice to see it hasn't changed." Marcus leaned back, biting into a giant pretzel. "Man, I lose my keys every other day. If this town treated keys like wallets, I'd never be late again." Everyone laughed. Daniel listened, watched, soaked it in. He realized how easily he could have gone home angry, convinced the world was careless. Instead, here he was, wrapped in community warmth, feeling lighter than he had in months. Later, as the band played a slow song, Daniel stood near the fountain, hands in his hoodie pockets, staring at the reflections of lights dancing in the water. Emily joined him. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," he said, "just thinking. It's funny, I was freaking out over losing a wallet. But tonight feels like I gained something bigger." Emily nodded. "Maplewood has that effect." Daniel hesitated, then chuckled. "You know, I teach kids about history all day. Big moments, wars, movements. But nobody really talks about these small moments, when people just choose to be decent. Maybe those are the moments that actually hold everything together," Emily said. The festival wound down, but Daniel wasn't ready to let the night end. He found himself promising to come to more town events, to stop rushing through days like they were errands instead of experiences. Over the next week, something shifted. Daniel started walking more, waving at neighbors, stopping to talk instead of retreating inside. He brought homemade chili to Mrs. Whitaker. He helped Marcus jump-start his truck. He even volunteered to help Emily's family set up chairs for a school fundraiser. Each small act felt connected, like invisible threads weaving him tighter into the fabric of Maplewood. One chilly Sunday morning, Daniel sat on his porch swing with a mug of coffee, watching leaves fall like slow-motion fireworks. His wallet sat on the table beside him, same worn leather, same cracks, but now it meant something else. It wasn't just a holder of cards. It was a reminder. He laughed softly to himself. "You really went on an adventure, didn't you?" he said to it. As if on cue, Marcus jogged past in sweatpants, waving. Emily drove by and honked, smiling. Mrs. Whitaker shuffled along with Peanut, who barked like he recognized a celebrity. Daniel waved back at all of them. The narrator, if we're allowed to peek behind the curtain, might say this: Daniel Carter never became famous. He didn't win the lottery or invent anything remarkable. He just lost a wallet. And in doing so, he found proof that kindness wasn't rare or dramatic. It was ordinary. It lived in kids on scooters, in neighbors with cider, in mechanics with pretzels, in librarians with tiny dogs. Sometimes, the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need. And sometimes, what you need is to lose a little leather wallet so you can finally see the wealth around you.